The Nebraska air in the 1960s tasted like dust and possibility. At least it did when you were 12. My childhood unfolded in one of those small towns, etched onto the Great Plains, like a faded postcard. Elmwood, a place where the rhythm of life was as predictable as the sunrise over the cornfields. Men left in the gray dawn, vanishing into factories or onto farms that stretched towards the horizon. Women stayed, transforming houses into spotless sanctuaries, filled with the aroma of baking bread and simmering stews. Children marched off to school, a chorus of laughter and scuffed shoes echoing down sidewalks. Sundays belonged to the white-steepled church on Main Street, the drone of hymns mingling with the scent of starched shirts and perfume. And summer was freedom, unfettered, glorious freedom. From the moment the final school bell rang until the leaves began to turn, we kids owned Elmwood. We roamed its quiet streets, explored the creek that wound its way behind Miller's farm, and vanished into the whispering embrace of the woods that fringed the town. No schedules, no constant supervision, just the boundless expanse of days filled with bike races, tree forts, and games of tag that spilled across multiple backyards. We felt invincible, cocooned in the certainty that everyone knew everyone, that every porch light was a beacon of safety, that Elmwood was a fortress against the world's chaos. Or so we believed. That bedrock certainty shattered on Halloween night, 1964. I remember the crisp bite of autumn air, the smell of burning leaves lingering from earlier bonfires. Excitement crackled like static. My friends and I, Daniel, Courtney, Shane, and Annabelle, were a whirlwind of cheap costumes and pillowcases destined for candy. I was a witch. My costume, a hastily assembled affair of an old black dress of my mother's, a pointed hat fashioned from cardboard, and green face paint that itched terribly. We were hitting the houses on Oak Street, the good street for full-sized candy bars, when I saw her, Lisa Rose Williams. She was trick-or-treating alone at Mrs. Sweeney's house across the street. I recognized her from school, a quiet girl a few grades below me. She was 9, I think, and she was also a witch, a much better witch. Her costume was neat, tailored, the black fabric looking crisp, her hat perfectly conical. Her mother was a seamstress, everyone knew that. For a fleeting second, a question flickered in my mind. Where are her friends? Why is she alone? But the impatient tug of Daniel on my sleeve and the chorus of "Come on" from the others swept it away. The next house beckoned, the promise of a Three Musketeers bar overriding any nascent concern. Lisa Williams became a footnote in the night's sugar-fueled adventure. By 10 o'clock, our pillowcases bulged satisfyingly. We'd just finished at old Mr. Patterson's house. He chuckled his usual warning about candy-induced stomachaches, his eyes twinkling behind thick glasses. We dumb. She ran, not walked, not hurried, but ran, her sensible shoes pounding the pavement, her breath already coming in ragged gasps when she skidded to a halt before us. Her gaze swept over our faces, Daniel's lopsided pirate hat, Courtney's princess tiara askew, Shane's Frankenstein makeup smudged, Annabelle's gypsy scarves, my itchy witch face. The desperate hope in her eyes flickered and died, replaced by a despair so profound it felt like a physical blow. Have any of you seen my daughter? Her voice was high, tight, fraying at the edges. Lisa Rose, did you see her? We looked at each other, a sudden shared nervousness silencing our candy chatter. The Halloween magic evaporated, replaced by a cold prickle on the back of my neck. Mrs. Williams saw our hesitation. She was meant to be home 2 hours ago. The words cracked and tears welled, spilling over and tracing shiny paths down her pale cheeks. She took a shaky, shuddering breath. The memory of Mrs. Sweeney's porch surfaced. I saw her earlier, I mumbled, my voice barely audible over the sudden pounding in my ears. At Mrs. Sweeney's house, across from us. Mrs. Williams's head snapped towards me. At Mrs. Sweeney's. Was she with anybody? Her eyes bored into mine. No, I mumbled again, shrinking under her intensity. She was. By herself, I think. Where did she go after that? Did you see? Her voice was urgent, pleading. No, I don't know. I lost sight of her. My tongue felt thick and clumsy. Mrs. Williams let out a sigh that seemed to deflate her entire body. She straightened up, wiping her cheeks with the back of her hand, her expression hardening into a mask of maternal command. She addressed all of us, her voice regaining some strength, laced with steel. All of you, go home. Right now. Ask your parents if they've seen Lisa. And if you see her, you send her home immediately. You hear me? Without waiting for an answer, she turned and plunged back down the street, her voice rising again, hoarse and desperate. Lisa Rose, baby, where are you? I looked at Courtney. Her princess face was pale beneath the glitter. We shared a wordless look of shared dread. Daniel broke the stunned silence. We'd better just do what she says, he muttered, already turning towards the direction of our houses. She seems pretty pissed. The rest of us fell into step, the earlier excitement utterly extinguished. For a few steps, the only sounds were our footsteps and Mrs. Williams's fading calls. Then Shane, ever the master of inappropriate timing, piped up. Man, when that kid gets home, she's gonna get the worst beating of her life. He chuckled, a harsh, jarring sound. A nervous, half-hearted laugh escaped Daniel. Annabelle managed a weak giggle. It was a feeble attempt to recapture the normalcy, the Halloween spirit, but it felt hollow, wrong. We mechanically resumed our candy swapping as we walked, the chatter forced, the treats suddenly tasteless. The thought persisted, cold and unwelcome. Lisa didn't get home that night. I burst through my own front door, the cozy warmth and smell of my mother's apple pie, doing little to dispel the chill inside me. Mom, Dad, Lisa Williams is missing. Her mom was screaming for her. I blurted out, breathless. My father lowered his newspaper. My mother paused, a mixing bowl in her hands. They exchanged a glance, the kind adults share when dismissing childish concerns. Missing, my mother said, her brow furrowed, but her voice calm. Oh, honey, I'm sure she just lost track of time, got caught up at trick-or-treating. She'll turn up. But her mom was crying. She said she was supposed to be home ages ago. Probably just worried, my father rumbled, returning to his paper. Girls get distracted. She'll be fine. Their dismissal, meant to reassure, only amplified my unease. It felt like they were talking about a different world, a world where kids simply wandered off and came back. The world I'd lived in just hours before. But the next morning, huddled over bowls of cereal with the radio playing, reality crashed in. The local announcer's voice, usually so blandly cheerful, was grave. Anyone with information regarding the whereabouts of 9-year-old Lisa Rose Williams, last seen trick-or-treating on Oak Street Halloween night, is urged to contact the Elmwood Sheriff's Department immediately. The spoon clattered from my hand into my soggy cornflakes. My parents froze, their expressions shifting from morning bleariness to dawning horror. The easy assurances of the night before evaporated. Lisa hadn't just lost track of time. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. They never found Lisa. Not a trace. The search parties combed the woods and fields, the creek beds and ditches. Flyers with her picture, smiling in her school portrait, papered every shop window and telephone pole. But Elmwood yielded nothing. The bedrock of our safe little world developed hairline fractures. Parents became watchful, their eyes lingering a little longer as we left the house on weekends. The carefree roaming felt less free. At school, a somber assembly was held. A stern-faced deputy talked about stranger danger, his words landing with a new, chilling weight. We were told not to talk to people we didn't know, not to accept rides, to always tell our parents where we were going. It felt like learning a new, frightening language. The most haunting sight was Mrs. Williams. Seeing her in town or at church became a punch to the gut. She moved like a ghost, her face pale and drawn, her eyes perpetually red-rimmed and swollen, carrying the weight of sleepless weeks. If I stared, transfixed by the raw grief etched onto her features, my mother would deliver a sharp smack to the back of my head and hiss, "Stop gawking, it's rude." But the image stayed with me. Like most things in a small town, the initial shockwave gradually subsided. The flyers faded and peeled. The deputy stopped coming to the school. By the time summer holidays rolled around, the surface had smoothed over. The sun was hot, the days long, and the oppressive shadow of Lisa's disappearance seemed to recede, pushed back by the sheer, demanding energy of being 12 years old and bored out of your mind. It was the second week of summer vacation. The initial burst of freedom had worn off. We'd exhausted the possibilities of the park. The creek was low and muddy, and our usual games felt stale. Making matters infinitely worse, mine and Annabelle's mothers had decreed a new, unbearable rule. We had to take our younger siblings with us. My sister Zoe, 7, and Annabelle's brother Tommy, 6, became our unwanted shadows. They were tiny agents of chaos. They whined incessantly about being tired or bored within minutes of leaving the house. They'd wander off, sparking frantic, sweaty searches through backyards and alleys. Worst of all, they were tattletales of the highest order. The instant one of us did anything remotely interesting, climbing a forbidden fence, swearing, exploring an empty lot, they'd shriek, I'm telling," and bolt for home like miniature informants. Annabelle and I, saddled with these liabilities, became social pariahs. Our friends, Daniel, Courtney, and Shane, stopped calling our houses altogether. To join them, we had to become escape artists, sneaking out back doors, climbing out windows, anything to avoid the dreaded maternal command, "If you're going out, take your sister-brother with you." This precarious system worked until one hot afternoon. I was sprawled on my bedroom floor, lost in a Batman comic, when a thunderous pounding shook the front door. My heart lurched. Who would be so stupid? I scrambled downstairs, yanking the door open to find Daniel on the porch, vibrating with excitement, completely oblivious to the danger he'd just unleashed. Before I could even hiss a warning, my mother's voice rang out from the kitchen. "If you're going out, take your sister with you." I shot Daniel a furious glare. "Thanks for that," I growled, my voice thick with sarcasm. Daniel, still buzzing, just waved a dismissive hand. "What is it?" I demanded, already dreading the answer. "Can't tell you here. Come out." He practically bounced on the balls of his feet. I sighed, defeated. "Fine, but I'm going to have to bring Zoe," I whispered, the last part fiercely, jerking my head towards the kitchen. That's just fine. Come on, Daniel replied, already turning away. He clearly had no grasp of the Zoe-shaped storm cloud about to descend. Zoe, come on, we're going out, I yelled, stepping out onto the porch and closing the door firmly behind me, hoping against hope Mom wouldn't emerge. I started down the driveway. So, what's got you so hyped? I heard the front door bang open and Zoe came pelting out, pigtails flying. She caught up instantly and clamped onto my arm like a barnacle. Can we go to the park? I want to go to the park, she chirped. No, piss off, I said angrily, shaking my arm to dislodge her grip. She stopped dead behind us, hands on her hips. Oh, I'm telling. Fine, I yelled back, not breaking stride. See if I care, you little shit. No, wait, Daniel intervened, lunging back and grabbing Zoe's arm as she turned to sprint back towards the house and certain maternal retribution. Let go, she wailed, trying to twist free. Daniel dropped her arm, but leaned in conspiratorially. Fine, but then you can't come to the carnival with us. Zoe froze, her little brain visibly whirred, weighing the immediate satisfaction of tattling against the mysterious allure of a carnival. What carnival? She asked, suspicion warring with curiosity. Yeah, I echoed, glaring at Daniel. What carnival? If there was a carnival in Elmwood, I'd have heard about it. He was either lying to save my skin or... What? Daniel grinned, his eyes sparkling with the secret. My brother told me, he began, lowering his voice dramatically. In the woods, there's this abandoned carnival. Bullshit. I cut him off instantly. No way. It's not real. Your brother's pulling your leg, or you are. But Daniel's expression was dead serious. Listen, my brother and his friends go up there all the time to smoke. He told me how to get there. Either he's bullshitting or you are, but I swear it's there. Well, Daniel shrugged, undeterred. There's no harm in going to check, right? Yeah, can we go? Please. Zoe jumped up and down, her earlier threat forgotten, captivated by the promise of adventure. I looked from Zoe's eager face to Daniel's determined one. An abandoned carnival. Deep in the woods, Lisa vanished near. A cold finger of unease traced my spine, quickly buried under a wave of curiosity and the desperate need to escape Elmwood's stifling boredom. Only if the others come too, I stipulated, looking pointedly at Daniel. Safety in numbers, even if those numbers included Zoe. That's fine, Daniel agreed readily. He pushed open the gate to Courtney's neat front garden and strode up the path, knocking firmly on her bright red door. Courtney appeared, her long black hair tied back with a vibrant red ribbon that matched her high-top Converse. She was my best friend, my opposite in almost every way. A tomboy to my preference for dresses, bold where I was cautious. But somehow we fit together perfectly. She even tolerated Zoe, which was a mark of true friendship. Daniel spoke rapidly, gesturing animatedly. Courtney glanced past him, saw Zoe and me waiting at the gate, and grinned. I waved back weakly. I'll be 2 minutes, she called, disappearing back inside. True to her word, Courtney came running out moments later, joining us at the gate. So, what's the big secret? She asked, adjusting her ribbon. Daniel launched into his story again as we headed toward Shane's house. Courtney's eyes widened with interest. An abandoned carnival? Seriously? That sounds awesome. Shane, when we collected him, lived up to his wild reputation. His eyes lit up like fireworks. No way. For real? Let's go. Right now. He practically vibrated with the same manic energy as Daniel. Finally, we reached Annabelle's house. Her green door looked ominously cheerful. I took a deep breath and knocked. Mrs. Evans, Annabelle's perpetually cheerful mother, answered. "Hi, Mrs. Evans. Is Anna here?" "Yes, dear. Let me just go get her," Mrs. Evans trilled, turning to call up the stairs. "Anna, your friends are here for you." Annabelle came clattering down, her short blonde bob perfectly smooth, her outfit immaculate. She was about to step out when Mrs. Evans placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and whispered something. Annabelle's shoulders slumped, her blue eyes rolling skyward in exasperation before she trudged back upstairs. She returned moments later, radiating resentment, trailed by her little brother Tommy, a smaller, grubbier version of his sister's neatness. She closed the door behind them with a little more force than necessary and glared at me. "You guys know not to call for me," she hissed. "Now look what you've done. I'm stuck with him now." She jabbed a thumb at Tommy, who was already eyeing Zoe with interest. "It's fine. Zoe's here too," I said, gesturing to where Zoe was now holding Courtney's hand, swinging their arms. "What's going on then?" Annabelle asked, folding her arms. "We're going to a carnival," Zoe yelled, unable to contain herself, hopping up and down. Annabelle groaned. "There's no carnival in town, idiots." "It's not in town," Daniel corrected proudly. "It's in the woods. Eddie went up there with the guys. It's real, I swear." Annabelle's expression shifted from annoyance to wary recognition. "That's the abandoned one, isn't it? I've heard of it. It's only a legend, though. Are you sure your brother and his friends didn't just smoke a little too much, Dan? Hell, even if they did, it's still worth a shot going up and checking it out," Shane interjected impatiently. "I suppose," Annabelle conceded reluctantly. She fixed Zoe and Tommy with a stern glare. "And if we do find anything, you two had better not tell your moms. Because if you do, we will never take you out again. Ever. Got it?" "We won't," they chorused, eyes wide. "Seriously?" Anna leaned in, pointing a finger directly at Tommy. "If you tell, you're going to get in trouble too. So much trouble." "I won't. I swear," Tommy promised, suitably intimidated. "Good," Annabelle said, straightening up. "Now, can we hurry the hell up, please? I want to see this place." "Yeah, come on," Daniel yelled, taking the lead. We fell in behind him, a mismatched procession winding through the familiar streets of Elmwood, the promise of the unknown, pulling us towards the dark line of trees at the town's edge. The air buzzed with a nervous excitement, the shadow of Lisa Williams momentarily forgotten in the face of the adventure ahead. We were heading into the woods, towards a legend, oblivious to the nightmare waiting silently in the clearing, a nightmare that wore grease paint and smelled of decay. The safe place was about to reveal its teeth,